Facebook and YouTube are now here. And so, aside from listening, you can go on to YouTube and Facebook and you can watch the conversation and you'll see us live and in living colors. I don't know what I should do to convince Sister Teresa. So Sister Teresa is Canadian, people. And we're introducing her to the Jamaican culture. And she's here with us on HGG Radio. So she's getting a knock of the lingo, the patois. She's getting a knock of, what we do, what we like. But for the life of me, I cannot get Sister Teresa to want to try the Manish water. I don't know what, you guys need to send in some advice. Yes, because one of these fine days, she keeps saying gross. And I said to her, Sister Teresa, we're going to take out all of the things that you would think is gross. Yeah. And we give you the water, the liquid part of it. So you won't see anything in it. Yes. But the flavor, I tell you, the flavor is beyond anything that you can ever imagine. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. When you hear that sound, it means that we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. All right. I'm waiting on the numbers to go up. We have waiting in the wings. Author Sean C. Harris' son coming out of Jamaica this morning after going through Hurricane Beryl. Yes. After going through the days where the hurricane was barreling down on Jamaica, he's here with us this morning. And we're going to be talking to him. So remember, get your auntie, uncle, cousin, sister, friend. Jump on. Jump on to HGG Radio. Sister Teresa says not enough money in the world for me to try it. Oh, my goodness, Sister Teresa. Oh, my goodness. I see some folks jumping on to Facebook, jumping on to YouTube. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you across the nations of the world. I want to welcome you to the Morning Flow. I'm your host, Odette Thompson. We are here for the virtual book tour, and we have waiting in the wings author Sean C. Harrison coming out of Jamaica. He is a serial author, and we're going to be talking to him this morning. So come on in and get yourself ready, get yourself situated, get yourself seated. I don't know if because of the heat, you're going to have a cup of coffee. If you're going to have a cup of coffee, I don't know what you're going to have, but get yourself ready.
Activate Core presents its annual virtual book tour from June 29th to August 31st. Join 30 authors from different countries and different genres as we traverse the virtual spaces of YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, WeChat, and many others. Join in our live radio interviews, webinars, and book reading activities. Share in our stories of hope with families and friends on the HGG Gospel Radio Station in Canada. Contact us at activatecore7@gmail.com for more information. See you online.
That's the virtual book tour live right here on HGG Radio, July 1st to August 9th, Mondays and Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, inside the Morning Flow with Pastor Odette Thompson. Looking forward to seeing you.
All right. So we are now live and in living colors here on Facebook and on YouTube. Good morning to you, Sister Vinette. How are you doing? See, Sister Vinette is jumping on from Jamaica. She's watching us on YouTube right now. So good to have you jumping on. And I hope that all is well with you down there in Jamaica. As we go live with our author this morning, author out of Jamaica, I'm gonna bring him so that you can all see him. I'm watching him. I've been chatting away now, but I've been watching him in the background. And I don't know if he knew that I was seeing him and I was just watching him in the background, And I was laughing to myself and I said, oh, I wonder what is going on over there. So because he was having a conversation, and people, I want you to welcome to the morning flow, Sean C. Harrison. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. You're most welcome. And I saw you chatting away. And I saw you chatting away. And I thought to myself, I wonder if it's something that he's hearing that, what am I saying that he doesn't want me to say?
No, actually, a number of things have been going on my side as it concerns audio, some of which is undesirable. I mean, my nephew's dog just had a litter of puppies, and it's right here, and they are right here on the carport where I'm, doing the broadcast from. I'm here praying that God will silence them and that the neighbors will, also, tone down. So, and I
Oh,
pray that the other puppy, the bigger puppy that the dog had, wasn't going to bark. I was just praying that everything goes well. I was just hoping, so that was a conversation I was having. Those were the conversations I was having with myself.
okay, because I saw you moving and I'm thinking, what is the money water conversation he's not having any?
That too, that too, because I'm saying to them, if they ever knew how nice Spanish water is.
Oh my goodness. So Sister Teresa, you have it here from someone who is actually in Jamaica. So you can't say
Yes.
that I've been I've gotten accustomed to the Canadian cuisine, and I'm trying to get you to like what I like. I want other persons to jump on, and they have been, but you have Sean here this morning, and Sean is saying that, listen to me, you have to try it. And as I said, we'll take out all of the ingredients that you can see so that
All the undesirables.
all the
All the
undesirables
undesirables.
where we can handle it, we can handle it. Yeah, we can handle it. She cannot, so we will take it out, and we just want you to taste it, Sister Teresa. We just want you to taste it. So they have it in the can, and did you know that they have it in the can now, Sean?
I didn't know that at all, but I guess that's a plus for a lot of diasporans, isn't it? You
Well,
know, yes.
truth be
I mean,
told, I don't know about that. I don't know. Not everything in the can is all that I can.
well, that's true. That's true. But we do have a way with even things that sometimes are hard to capture in terms of the originality of the taste. We have a knack of, putting it in any form and making it work still. We are Jamaicans. We are like that. Yes.
That is true. That is true. But I can tell you this, that for all the time that I've been here, I got accustomed to the canned ackee and the canned callaloo. But I went to Jamaica last year. I was in Jamaica last year, and I had callaloo, nice, fresh, green callaloo, man. Listen to
And
me.
it's just not the same. It's just not the same, is it?
And I have vowed a vow, and I will not defer from the vow that I vowed. No more canned callaloo for me. Absolutely. Nope, nope, nope. After I went down, I said, nope, if I'm not going to have the fresh callaloo, no, it's all right. It's all right. I'll wait until I can come back and have it. But
Yes.
it's good to have you here this morning. Very good to have you here this morning. I know you and I had a conversation on the weekend, and I know we're going to be talking to you about your books and stuff. But before we go into that, how did you fare through Hurricane Beryl? How did that affect you?
I have to say that even though I was affected somewhat because my roof not stay too good, if I tell you the truth. Although I was affected somewhat and got some water inside the house, I have so much to give God thanks for as it concerns even comparing other persons, in other Caribbean islands and in other regions and in other parts of Jamaica who weren't as fortunate as I am to still have a roof intact and and to still have their mango trees standing. Thankfully, that was something that I have to give God thanks for even though the fruits blew off, the mango trees are still standing, waiting for another season. And for the few green ones that are left, I'm looking forward to having them too. But on a serious note, though, my heart does go out for the number of persons who have sustained serious damage, and loss. It is not, I would hasten to say, it is not necessarily because, I or others have been so good and, so upright, but the mercies of God are a phenomenon that sometimes we just can't really harness and fathom, you know. So, I got to tell you that, uh, it's not too bad where I am. I give God thanks.
Okay, yes, in everything we give God thanks. And I'm happy to hear, which I found strange, you still have mangoes on the tree.
There are a few that are holding, man. That's still holding. I'm sitting right in front of a beefy tree now, beefy mango tree that has a few, ripes on it and a few turn ones. So, I think sometime in the near future I'll be having some mangoes after all. Yes.
Wow, wow, for those mangoes to hold on.
Yes,
Where,
sir.
oh my goodness. They deserve an award. They deserve an
Yes,
award for holding on.
yes,
All right. So
yes.
I'm happy that you're faring well. I'm happy that you're here with us this morning. We're giving
Thank
God.
you.
It could have been worse, but you are here with us this morning. And as I mentioned, folks, the virtual book tour is going on, and we have Sean C. Harrison coming out of Jamaica. He is a serial author that we're going to be talking to this morning. We're going to be talking to him about a number of his books. We're going to be talking to him about his life. I had a short conversation with him over the weekend and got to know him in those few little sentences, that we had together. I am going to be reading his bio, but I will not be reading the entire thing because when I saw the length of this, I said to myself, Mercy said no, but I'm going to be reading, I'm gonna be reading a few items or a part of his bio so that we'll get to know who Sean is. And after that, then we're gonna have Sean tell us a little bit more about himself. So, born and raised in St. Thomas, Jamaica, Sean C. Harrison is a singer, songwriter, poet, general writer, and a mental health advocate. He was raised by his mother, Patricia Harrison, homemaker, later trained teacher, and father, Lascelles Harrison Sr., a bus driver, carpenter, respectively. His first artistic appearance was at the tender age of 3 when he got a rare when he got rave reviews at a local gospel concert. He was told by an old family friend, Miss Hyacinth Shaw, that that particular concert was a full length one and exposed of his vocal giftings that featured him as the only performer. Since then, he made a name in his town as a boy wonder, mesmerizing audiences, which he continued to do into adulthood. With education up to sixth form and no formal mentoring in songwriting, he wrote his first song at the age of 14 years old, titled A Song I Used to Sing, and for many years would have amassed a vast wellspring of musical compositions. Sean subsequently stumbled upon poetry, and he developed a deep affinity for the art as well as many years later exploring other genres of writing, which proved very therapeutic and useful in establishing him as an advocate for the mentally ill and other disenfranchised groups of persons. A brief stint at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts 1999 to 2001 led to the collaborative entry with the band Connected in the JCDC Gospel Festival 2000. And for the short time he attended, he honed his musical skills there. And after falling ill and returning to St. Thomas, Jamaica, his hometown, taught himself some of the rudiments of musical compositions and made simple backing tracks for over 45 of his own songs on a low-end instrument, some of which he never recorded until over 15 years later in studio. All right, I'm going to stop there and I am going to say, Sean, I want you to tell us. I started at the tender age of 3 where you were at this concert, and so persons in your community, they have attributed this one time performance from a 3-year old, and now they're saying, okay, this boy, we need to watch him. And so they've been watching you over the years, and you went on to Edna Manley, and you did a number of things with your life. And I just read 2 paragraphs, and I want you to now talk to our listeners and our viewers and let us know who Sean C. Harrison is.
Okay, well, first of all, I would like to thank you again, Pastor Dev, for having me. And I would just say I am someone who has been blessed of the Lord to have been able over my life to accomplish a few things that maybe most normal persons wouldn't have been able to do. I, was, a very gifted child, and gifted in the sense that I showed so much promise, even from a very young age, to members of my local church, the Morant-based Seventh-day Adventist Church. I showed so much promise that I was one of the bright sparks. I was one of the rays of sunshine of that church body, and would have operated in a number of capacities there. I would have been given the opportunity to shine there in a number of respects and areas. There was a time when I think there were 2 times when I would have preached a child sermon as well, as, having been involved in musical, activities there too mostly. I grew up in a family of 6. I had 2 brothers and 1 sister, mother and father, and me. I was actually the last child of the bunch. I was the last child to come along. And fast forwarding to age 14, when I was 14 years old, sadly, I lost my dearest brother, Dexter Orlando Harrison, to gun violence. But before that, life was basically bittersweet. What started out as a wonderful family setting and family life actually ended up turning into, a place where there was marital strife and a number of things that, were not, typical of the Christian family that we started out as. However, never knowing, that I was being disaffected by a number of these things, I soldiered on from an early age, and I did the best I could have under the circumstances. I must hasten to say that my mother and my father, Mrs. Patricia Harrison and Mr. Lascelles Harrison Sr., they did the best they could, in my estimation, to have created an environment for us as children that was conducive to our flourishing and our own excelling. We always had our books, for school, and our supplies for school. We had every resource, that we needed to flourish. And I have to mention, the fact that in my family, there was music all around. We were a very musical family. My father, Mr. Lasses Harrison, was a part of a quartet in the church called Heralds of the Hour, and he also played. He was the designated player of the organ and the piano in the church for a number of years. And music was always being played in my home on the stereo, the turntable with the LPs as well. My mother, Mrs. Patricia Harrison, now deceased, had a beautiful voice to sing, and she also was a member of the choir as well as a member of a trio called the Trisons in church. I remember my mother's strict adherence, to principle and discipline as it concerned us as children in a family. And her impact upon my life is so great that I can hardly say in words how thankful I am to her for having, given me the opportunities that she has had. She took every opportunity in the parish of St. Thomas, where I grew up, to involve me in, things that, related to the community, in the local horticultural society of which she was a part. I sang there at their events constantly. I went to concerts, as mentioned before, and sang my little heart out. I went to funerals, I went to weddings, I went to graduations, I went to retirements, functions. I went to so many different areas of the parish and even outside of the parish to sing. And I saw how people really responded to my voice and to my gift. And I didn't even realize just how special and magical it really was. But people talked constantly about different situations that they remembered when I performed, and it would have left an indelible impression upon them. So, the truth is that I did not even realize exactly how special I was. But to tell you the truth, God had his hand on me and he blessed me. And in spite of certain things which would have happened, I, found favor in his sight, and I excelled and I flourished. And I thank him for, having guided me upon the path that I walked, because not everything in my life was, along a positive slant. But I thank God that He has been able to make even the negatives redound to His own name's honor and glory. So, as I say, a number of gifts which were discovered much later on in life, but my first gift was to have been a singer of songs. And then, as you stated, poetry was stumbled upon accidentally, and I developed a deep affinity for the art. And here I am today exploring other giftings that the Lord would have bestowed upon me, and just thankful for the chance that I have to showcase these things to the world, as I have been given the opportunity to do here and now, and on this forum and in other forums, through the instrumentality of Mrs. Jennifer Richards Wilson. I believe I thank her so much for having given me this opportunity. So, in a nutshell, that's who Sean C. Harrison is. Ordinary people who found extraordinary love. And, someone who was extraordinarily poured into, poured upon, and poured out of, and blessed, blessed indeed.
Oh my. He said in a nutshell, and I can tell you that is so true. It is indeed in a nutshell. He really did a nutshell for you guys, because if you should see the vast accomplishments that this young man has under his belt, you would say, "Oh my goodness, do you sleep?" And I really applaud you for making use of all the time that you've been given. I was listening to you, and I looked at your bio, and I looked at all of the different accomplishments that you've had over the years. And it brings me back to the scripture where the story of the landowner who had left, and he left talents with his stewards, and he gave one 5, and he gave one 3, and he gave one 1. And I just love it. And I'm looking at you. You've been given plenty, but you did not plant it. You did not bury it. You did not hide it. What you did, you went out and you have multiplied. And so now we're looking at someone who started out singing, people, started out singing at 3 years old. And I'm sure many in his community can say, yes, man, I remember the little boy. I remember that concert. And they remember the singing. But guess what? The talents that the Lord has deposited in him, he didn't hide it under a bushel. Yes, what he did was to go and to multiply. And so now we're looking at a multifaceted individual in from St. Thomas, Jamaica. And he's also a serial author. But before I even go into that part, my question to you is, having having been embedded in that musical family, your mother sang, your father sang, you sang, right? Sounded like everybody in the family were singers. I want to know, in terms of the transition, all right, from singing, because, basically how it sounds as if I should be interviewing you as a recording artist, versus, the author that you are. And I know that you're multifaceted, but I want to know in terms of the transition, because you've written quite a number of books. So the transition from singing to writing, I want to know when and how that took place.
Well, I've got to tell you that, singing having been my very first and only claim to fame was something that was very dear to my heart. Very dear to my heart. And the transition between singing and writing wasn't all that smooth as many would think it would have been, because actually it was an unfortunate incident where, because of my diagnosis later on in my life, in my late teens, at the age of 19 years old, of mental illness, paranoid schizophrenia in particular, and having started taking the medication to keep me stable, I realized that the medications affected my voice and progressively affected my voice adversely. So I had to hold back on the singing quite a bit, and had to eventually stop singing, as there was a time I could hardly even be heard in terms of vocalizing, in terms of even speaking. I was so hoarse because of those medications and also because of vocal overuse. Fast forwarding to the years when I worked in the health center in St. Thomas, to collect fees. And, as I said, no, I was broken. I was devastated to know, that my voice wasn't as it should have been. But then eventually, being the kind of person that the Lord has made me to be, and having inherited the kind of disposition that I did from my mother, especially, that, go getter, that very strong personality that did not, take, anything lying down. I eventually said to myself, then, okay, what else can I do? And then, after having experienced a songwriter's block, and having started writing, just having experimented with about having written about 4 poems, I decided, years later, when I realized that, neither was songwriting working out because my voice was so adversely affected. I realized, that I would have started, you know, experimenting with poetry. And when I started experimenting with poetry, first writing mostly Christian and religious poetry, I found that that wellspring of expression extended even beyond my singing into this area that seemed new to me, but was strangely another room in my home of things that I could do. And so, having been able to find myself expressing my inmost thoughts, as well as the struggles and the hardships that I would have faced, on a number of fronts as the years progressed, I never forgot about singing. As a matter of fact, every morning I woke, I would have hoped that this was one morning when I opened my mouth, I could have even remotely sounded as I used to, but it didn't work. And so, I didn't charge the Lord foolishly, or anything. I just went headlong into poetry and, soon found a niche there. Then, that would have led to other forms of writing where, fast forwarding to 2018, I would have seriously started writing, more prosaic works on my social media platform, Facebook, where I would write short discourses and statements and, expressions of encouragement, motivation, spiritual writings, which, now some of which, has been included in my books, my 12 publications. So, it was just an opportunity for me to, do something more that would have redounded to the honor and glory of God. And, and that would have also distinguished me in the world of creativity and writing that I am grateful for today, very grateful for, because when I see how many people are being impacted by even what I have written and I'm writing on social media, when I see how many people are being impacted positively and are being blessed from the things that I do, I say to myself, Lord, you definitely had a plan all this time. And even throughout my journey with mental illness, creative writing was another way for me to find catharsis and to
Mhm.
find solace, in expressing my inmost feelings. And, when I determined through my writing that I was going to give God glory no matter what, and I was going to be a blessing no matter what the enemy threw at me, the Lord looked upon me and he smiled upon it all, and he made me so much more today and as I journeyed than I ever thought I would have ever been in life. Sometimes when I look back on the things that I write, I am blown away. I am blown away to know that this could have come out of a broken vessel, a
Mm,
schizophrenic of 27 years, a mentally ill person of 27 years who went through a number of traumas. It
my
amazes me every time I look. It amazes me, and I am grateful and humbled, truly humbled.
You know what I like? I'm listening to
Yes,
you,
man.
and there is a phrase that you used, and the phrase was, I did not charge God foolishly. I like that because everything was going well and you were singing, and you were a young man and you had your life in front of you and you had all of these plans. But here comes a curveball. Here
Yes,
comes
indeed.
something that you didn't expect. Here comes something that no one expected. But you did not charge God foolishly. What you did was to use that situation and you pivoted into a new area. You used it because, hey, what you had going on before wasn't working anymore, eh? Yeah, it wasn't working. And
Exactly.
you could have gone into depression and you could have, woe is me. You could have gone into the lamentations and the woes and the woes. But I like the fact that you used it, yes, to propel you into a new chapter of your life. Now, how has your journey with mental illness influenced your writing? And
Well, in a very marked way, I must say. And even though I said to you that I did not charge God foolishly, there were moments, having been so broken, not having understood the plan that was ahead, and not having understood some of the things that, some of the having, having had questions. I did speak to the Lord out of my brokenness. But I think more than that, he gave me the will to propel myself forward and to do other things. As it concerns mental illness, having been diagnosed with the most severe form of mental illness ever documented, paranoid schizophrenia, I must tell you that, boy, my life, the story of my life, the narrative of my life changed markedly with schizophrenia. But then I realized, having been able to express myself, I would have been able to give the world a fair idea of what it is that I was traveling through, what I was journeying through with mental illness. And so a lot of the thought processes that accompany mental illnesses are very dark, are very diabolical, very, very, very negative. But out of the ashes of that experience, I realized that beauty came. And even inside of speaking, the reality of mental illness, I was able to look beyond the illness and to see exactly how blessed I was, and to just be able to look at the goodness of God in so many respects, and having had that impression indelibly emblazoned on my mind, the goodness of God in spite of, it would have produced so much material that would have been uplifting and would have been, of the stuff of, the legends of great men who the Lord inspired and touched their minds, touched their pens to produce beautiful things. And I'm telling you, even importantly, as mental illness impacted me in a number of negative respects, I was determined. I was determined that I am going to make beauty come from the ashes of this experience. And so mental illness got me to a place where I was able to put myself inside of the experiences of those who are disenfranchised in other ways, the battered wife, the abused child, the person who is physically challenged, the person who is intellectually challenged, the person who has experienced grief and loss, the person who, has, gone through so much. It put me inside of their experiences in a unique way and in such a way that I was able to speak to, through my writings, their own journeys and their own struggles. So in a number of respects, as you examine my writings, you will see that there are a wide array of situational you know um you know uh activities, situations, in fact, a wide range of situations and circumstances that are explored in my writings, that even with this book, The Legend of a Woman, that I will speak about, I would have been able, through the influence, the female influences in my life, I would have been able to coin this book, the small book of poetry, you know, um, to emblazon the legend, as it says, of women, and womanhood in such a way that women can feel freshly appreciated and empowered through even this book. And so mental illness helped me to be a lot more sensitive to the failings and the needs and the shortcomings and the struggles of others. And all this would have poured into my writings to show me to be a much more empathetic person than I was even years before. Someone who could look inside the experience and the heart of those who are struggling and chronicle
Yes.
those things in such a way that they would be able to find someone at last to identify with what they would have been going through. So mental illness in a number of respects has informed my creativity. And I thank God that even though it might not have been his perfect will for my life, he used it as a tool and an instrument to bring out the very best in me.
All right, wonderfully said. All right, I want you to get ready to. I know you have a book that is called "The Word of My Testimony," and when we come back, I want you to just pick one testimony out
Yes,
of that book to tell us about because the word of your testimony it is what you have gone through, and I
yes.
just want you to share that with our listeners. So he has a book out that is called he has a number of books out, but the one that we're referring to right now is The Word of My Testimony. All right. And so I want you to identify one specific thing that happened to you that did a change. Yes. I want you to find that one when we come back.
Activate Core presents its annual virtual book tour from June 29th to August 31st. Join 30 authors from different countries and different genres as we traverse the virtual spaces of YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, WeChat, and many others. Join in our live radio interviews, webinars, and book reading activities. Share in our stories of hope with families and friends on the HGG Gospel Radio Station in Canada. Contact us at activatecore7@gmail.com for more information. See you online.
That's the virtual book tour live right here on HGG Radio, July 1st to August 9th, Mondays and Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, inside the Morning Flow with Pastor Odette Thompson. Looking forward to seeing you.
All right. So we are here. If you're just joining us on HGG Radio, I want to say welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome. We have the virtual book tour going on, and we have special guest coming out of Jamaica, Sean C. Harrison. And we've been talking to Sean this morning, and he's been just telling us a little bit about himself, about where he's at, and how he got to where he's at. There's a particular book that he wrote that is called The Word of My Testimony, and I want you to just pull one testimony out of that and share with our listeners, share with our viewers today, and let them have a deeper feel and understanding of who Sean is.
Yes. Do I do that now? Yes. Yes, Pastor Odette. I can remember one particular testimony that I gave in that book of how, since infancy, I would have struggled and suffered with a number of ailments, over 41 disease processes to date in my own body. Not all at once, but from infancy even to this point in time. And I would have listed the 41 things that I remembered that would have affected me in that book. And I would have spoken about how I struggled to maintain my health, and how even, when my mother started out, how she was burdened with my situation. And, eventually, I would have had to take up the reins myself in a number of instances to treat my own, bouts of illness, and, I would have also, through the instrumentality of a number of persons, been able to deal with these disease conditions, even while visiting established physicians and all of that. And I always remember when my mother always used to say, when we talked about, me being sick, she said, come like you get everything, eh? And let me tell you, it's just, that particular testimony is just an exciting, riveting look at one aspect of my life, having been diagnosed with things such as KBs throughout my life, glaucoma, the paranoid schizophrenia, had migraine headaches, had had chicken pox, a terrible bout of chicken pox as a child, regular bouts of the cold and the flu, fevers that went so high that I, went so high and went up into my brain, so much so that I was hearing voices in those times, that I was wrapped up in those woolen blankets as a child, sometimes having had to be left alone at home because there was no one. Mom had to go to work so far away, and everybody else in the home had their own activities. Father went out to work too, and my sister being a student and my brothers doing what they did. Sometimes I had to stay alone, and so, if you read some of those things I had as a child, athlete's foot, and I would have had, things, as I said later on occurring, like the paranoid schizophrenia, with which I was diagnosed at age 19, which was the most telling illness that would have come upon me. Nothing would have challenged me more health wise than the struggle in my mind that paranoid schizophrenia created. And let me tell you something, even things like seborrheic eczema, had to deal with seborrheic eczema, skin related, a lot of skin related things, ailments, and also, boy, so much that when you read that book and you get that idea of what I would have gone through, you would have had to come away with an impression that this is someone who really weathered a lot of things. So I wasn't just gifted in a vacuum, and I wasn't just able to do many things without having been challenged. I was very, very seriously challenged, and with my in my health. But the good thing is that, as I would have stated before, the
Mm,
grace and mercy of God, it didn't stop me from doing well in school. It
mhm,
didn't stop me from doing other activities that I needed to do. I soldiered on, and I think that is a testimony that most readily comes to mind, as you would have asked me to relate one of my experiences. It's a
mm,
number of experiences with sickness, but the book itself will tell you. You will see so many different things. One of the things too later on that I had happening to me was epididymitis, and sinus related problems that had to do with the medications I was taking, and also the fact that I had diseased sinuses that would have affected also adversely my voice. And even as I took medications for the mental illness, those medications would have come along with their own,
side
numbers
effect.
of of ailments that would have resulted, that would have resulted in my, experiencing, such terrible malaise. I remembered that for example, one of the times, when I was on the risperidone, that's a medication that I was on for most of the time that I suffered with mental illness. Having been on that tablet, it would have resulted in me not having been able to sneeze for years, not even one sneeze. My
Are you
sinuses were so clogged up, not even one sneeze for years to expel anything also. So let me tell you something, man. It's just amazing what God has done. And even now, though I struggle with some things ongoing, I have found His grace to have been so copious that I was not, seriously hindered from producing my work or
mm,
doing the very things that you would have seen in my bio. And I
mm,
thank God. And for many people who I interacted with, they would not have known, because I was always this upbeat, bubbly, chirpy kid and chirpy person, who just, didn't seem to have anything going wrong. But then, the private pain when I got back into my home and behind closed doors and had
mhm.
to deal with these things, it was, so that testimony, I believe, is a standout
Oh
for me.
wow.
Yes, yes.
All I can say is, oh, wow. All right, folks, you've heard one of the testimonies that he shared in the book, The Word of My Testimony. And there are many more stories, many more testimonies in this book. The scripture says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And the wonderful thing about testimonies is that one, they're true report. Two, when you hear somebody's story, it will give you strength to
Oh
go.
yes.
It will empower you to go on. So the book, The Word of My Testimony, is out. You can jump on Amazon, written by Sean C. Harrison, and you can jump on Amazon to get a copy of that book to read of his many different trials and tribulations. And we're looking at almost like a present day Job. Yes. But and he used the phrase, I did not charge God foolishly. So I give God thanks for you and for what you have overcome to sit here with us this morning. All right. So, how do you see your writing and musical contribution to mental health conversation in Jamaica and beyond?
Well, if it is one thing I would like to, keep before anyone who suffers with a mental illness or knows someone who suffers with a mental illness, the conversation oftentimes sadly involves uh, a strong sense of futility and bewilderment that many persons who care for the mentally ill express from time to time, as well as even those who are mentally ill. Wherein they many of them may feel as though these persons have gone beyond any kind of usefulness or any kind of productive, outflow or capacity, because this illness is so encompassing and so debilitating. My contribution to the conversation is to keep before everyone affected that even though mental illness may be a part of the narrative of your life, a part of your story, you still can do, you still can be, you still can achieve, you still can bless your people and bless your world, because with God, all things are possible. Oftentimes, when we speak along spiritual lines and as Christians, we think that the Lord's hand couldn't have been in certain, adverse circumstances that we would have faced. But when you see how much beauty comes from your brokenness, as I have discovered, you realize that God is bigger. God's ways, God's doings, God's thoughts, they are all bigger than anything we could ever fathom, and his ways and his thoughts are deeper than anything that we could ever imagine. And so I would say today, even though I am a part of the minority report, the minority that usually emanates, as a success story coming out, I certainly would love to keep before all persons that there is still much beauty that comes from brokenness and much good that can come from the in spite of situations that we face and in spite of circumstances that we face in our lives. And so having had, for a number of years to take my medications and to accept that there are certain things that I could not do and that I cannot do, I still would have been given the opportunity to shine. And so can you, dear lady, dear gentleman, dear boy, dear girl, anyone who is suffering from mental illness. Your life is not over. You can pick up the pieces and you can move on, even inside of the struggle. Because a lot of the things that I produced when I was, even further ensconced in the throes of my illness when it was a lot more debilitating than it is now. A lot of the things that I've been able to produce have come out of sheer, self and personal determination that told me there is a purpose, there is a reason for your being, even when I couldn't see the logic, even when I couldn't see the design behind all that I was experiencing. I am glad that the Lord kept my left hand, my little left hand, these two digits, moving with my pen. And I am glad that the Lord kept my brain thinking, even inside of the darkness of schizophrenia, thinking of a brighter day, thinking of creating, and thinking of being a blessing to my world. I want to use myself as an example for you all, as a contribution to the mental health conversation, that life does not end with mental illness. In fact, there is so much that you can explore and learn about yourself and your world and others around you, that when you take a good look at the positives that are emanating from your situation, that 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 can really produce in your own reality. So please keep on fighting. Those who are suffering, the Lord can help you. And even though I'm still on medications, I can actually, identify a marked shift from the thoughts of yesterday to even the thoughts of today. And even though sometimes I get down and sometimes I say, Lord, I'm tired. Why don't you just take me? I have those conversations too, but still, I thank God that mental illness has not hindered me to the point where I'm just sitting in a corner and persons have to administer to me and I am of little or no use to my word. Thank God the Lord has given me a fighting spirit and He has given me much inspiration to produce all that I am producing now and have produced. And so, my friends, you can do it too. You
I
can do it
love
too.
it. I love it. I love it. We're talking about resilience. Yes, I
Yes.
see a listener or a viewer writing in the chat, truly resilient individual. Um, I give God thanks for you and how persistent you have been. You've mentioned your work that you've been doing. I want you to tell our listeners and our viewers how many books have you written and published?
Well, I have a total of 12 publications, 9 works of poetry and 3 works of prose. So the books are not big voluminous books with complex plots or anything like that. But to include this one, there are a total of 12 publications.
All right, folks, you've heard it here. He has written 12 published. Maybe, he's done more than the 12, but 12 have been published. What you're doing with your talent? What are you doing with your talent? We've all been given talents. And yes, Sean has been given quite a number of talents. Yes, and he's not put them down, he's not buried them. Yes, he has done a lot. And so we know that when the master of the harvest should come back, he's going to say, well done, thou
I
good
look forward to that. I look forward to that.
well done, because he has been so intentional with not wasting one moment. He could have given up, he could have thrown his hand in the air, but he has worked with what he has been given. All right, so you mentioned that you have 12 publications, and I know that we talked about the word of my testimony, but there is also the one that you have in your hand, that is the legend of a woman, a poetic tribute to womanhood, and there is also sketches of sunrise. These two books that you have identified that you'd like our listeners to know more about. And I know that time is going, but I want you to just, and I know you touched on the legend of a woman, but But I want you to just quickly touch on these two books and let us
Yes.
know, um, even with your journey and everything, how all of this just wrap up and tie together, the Legend of a Woman and the Sketches of Sunrise.
Yes. Well, let me continue with The Legend of a Woman. This book is near and dear to my heart because of the female influences that have shaped the person I am today. As a child, having grown up, basically soft child, I wasn't really accepted much by my male peers and by males around. And it was the females who made me special. And this book is my tribute to the feminine gender, where I pay homage to a number of women in specific poems who have impacted my life in a marked way. And so you can find poems, for a lady called Miss Yuna. They call her Jayuna, Rastafarian practitioner. Miss Yuna Duff, who has been a giver, and even in spite of her own, imperfections, remains a wonderful representation of what the struggle, of womanhood entails. And so this book is my love story to the ladies, my love song to the ladies. So please, ladies, go out and get this book of poetry. I'm sure you will be blessed by it. And then the Sketches of Sunrise is now somewhat something of a little devotional, but it's not your typical devotional in the sense that, it only tells you a few little things. It's a book that was compiled from some of my writings on Facebook, my motivational, inspirational writings on Facebook that, can serve to start your day. When you read, it can be a good, tone setter for your day. And also, it can encourage you greatly. Sketches of Sunrise and can spur you on to keep on fighting the battle and giving you reasons, even as I give my own experiences, giving you reasons to keep on keeping on. So I have always tried to keep the content of my material positive, uplifting, motivating. And so you will find in these three publications, as well as, in the others, hardly a dull moment, hardly a dull moment, that gets you down, and so, I am just glad to know that I have been able, in the form of books, to have some of my works encapsulated between, the covers of some of these books. I am grateful, and I know that they will truly serve to bless your heart in many, many ways.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I love it. You know what I love? The fact that the books, they're from different genres, the poems and the testimony, they can be purchased for varying reasons. And I like this one, The Legend of a Woman. So, The Legend of a Woman, guess what, guys? You can purchase this book and give it to someone as a gift. Yes, you don't have to wait on Mother's Day. You don't have to wait on that birthday. I give books for gifts. So, persons in my life, they know that that's what I do. And even children for birthday parties and stuff, when they invite me, I don't buy toys. I will buy a book. Yes,
Yes.
I buy books, and I implore you, start buying books, getting them to read. But The Legend of a Woman, to inspire, to uplift, to empower, you can buy this book and give to your mom, give to your grandmother, give to somebody who you look up to and you want to say, hey, I want to gift you this book. Also, the testimonies are great to have. But what I want you guys to do is to jump onto Amazon, type in the name Sean C. Harrison. You will see all the books that he has written, right? You'll see all the books that he's written. You can look at the summary of these books to determine what occasion you want to buy them for, what gift you want to give them for. Yes. And so I want to thank you so much for coming on. this morning, Sean, for being so vulnerable, so transparent, and talking to us about in a nutshell. And he said it so well. In a nutshell, he has talked to us about his life's journey and a little bit, but we have more in terms of the books that we can go and read. You can go and read the books. You can go and dive more into his world. I love the fact that you talked about mental illness, and that is something that we often um, we negate for just 1 month. Yeah, but we need to
Yes,
understand and recognize that persons who have mental illness issue, guess what? When that month is done, they still have 11 more months to go. Yeah,
yes, indeed, indeed.
life goes on for them. Life goes on for them. So I like the fact that you have talked your truth and you're being an advocate. Yes. And so, folks, if you want to talk more to Sean, you can always reach out to him. All right. Is there a way that they can contact you?
Well, yes, I mean, I do have a phone number, as most people, if not all persons, do in this day and age. You know, it is 1-876, the area code of Jamaica, and 343-9783. That's 1-877-343-9783. My email address is antofer@gmail.com. That's ANTOPHER @gmail.com. That's ANTOPHER and Topher. And so via these two media, you are able to contact me and we can take our conversation further if you so desire. You know, a number of persons would have through the years contacted me to say, I have this mentally ill brother or my son, and what is your advice? I am all ears. You can talk to me if you want, as well as if you want further insights into my own journey, you can visit my social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, where all these places where you can find YouTube, many videos, other interviews, newspaper stories on net. You can just go on net and you can find everything you want on me, because I have posted and I have put up extensive material that speaks to my life and also that comes out of my own creativity, many poems. I have a Facebook page that is totally dedicated to my poems that's entitled Poetry of Sean C. Harrison. So if you go on it, you can find so much and you can find so many ways to contact me. Yes.
All right. Wonderful. We have talked and we've learned a lot this morning from Sean C. Harrison, an author coming out of Jamaica, multifaceted individual. He is a gifted individual. He is one that is proud to be used. Can I say that? He's proud to be used as an instrument
Oh,
of the
yes.
Lord, proud to be used as an instrument of the Lord. He's here having gone through so many ups, through so many downs, but yet he's here to testify of the goodness of the Lord. And he can share his testimony, his story with you. So, for those of you who are intrigued and you want to learn more, you can always jump onto Amazon where all his books are, and you can find the books. Go on to Amazon, type in his name, Sean C. Harrison. Find the books, buy the books. Remember, give the books as a gift. And if you want to reach out to Sean, you have a seminar coming up, a webinar coming up, and you want someone to come and talk about mental illness and overcoming and being a functioning individual in society, you can always connect with him. 876 876 9786. That's
No,
87.
9783. 9783.
Yes.
83. Sorry.
So
Yes.
83. So it's 876 343 9783. That's his number. Connect with him, or you can send him an email at um Antofor. That's
And
it.
Topher, and Topher, yes, and Topher at
Or
gmail.com.
and
Yes.
Topher, okay. At gmail.com, Antopher at gmail.com. You can connect with him. All right, if you want someone to come and speak at your event and talk a little bit more about mental illness and whatever it is that the Lord has laid on your heart, because it is not just a 1 month thing that we should do, because as I said, it is an ongoing life is happening 12 months of the year, just like how you and I live in, they're living just the same, and I applaud you. I applaud you, sir, for
Thank
coming
you.
on. And I pray that the Lord will continue to use you as an oracle in this time and in this season to bring awareness to all those who are unaware of the challenges that individuals with mental illness might be facing. But we don't want to just focus on the mental illness. We want to focus also on the fact that you are gifted and you have been using those gifts to the glory and to the honor of the Lord. I am going to give you, no, I can't give you. I was going to give you a minute. I'm going to give you, can I give you, I'm giving you 45 seconds to wrap up. 45 seconds. I'm looking at the timer. 45
Okay.
seconds to wrap up. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. First of all, Pastor Odette Thompson, it was a pleasure having been here. To speak again on my journey and my creativity. I want to thank you so much, for having allowed me the space to do what I do best, which is to talk about my life and, to share with others the goodness of God, the grace of God, and the fact that life is not over, even when the enemy says otherwise. So I thank you, Pastor Odette. I thank Mrs. Jennifer Richards Wilson. I thank all the persons who have listened, who have come on and who have listened and who have given ear to my own story. And may my story be inspiration to you to continue, for those who think that it's over and for those who don't see a reason to go on. May it be that the perfume of my life, will fill your nostrils, as incense fills as the incense of our praise fills the nostrils of our God with perfume. And so I thank you all, and I just pray that you too will keep me in your prayers and help, help to lift me up as I journey and as I speak more on, the things pertaining to my life. Thank you.
God bless you and thank you again for coming on. It was an honor and a privilege, and we look forward to hearing more and seeing more. God bless you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, you have heard the conversation with the author out of Jamaica, Sean C. Harrison. We spoke to him at length and we touched on a number of topics, but he has so many books out that I would love for you guys to go and support. Jump onto Amazon, purchase the book, buy the book, give the book as a gift. Many different books that he has out there. He has over 12 books written for different occasions. And so you can go look at what he has, purchase a book, give a book as a gift. And I want to thank you all for making it HGG Radio this morning. It was indeed an honor and a privilege to be here with you, my HGG family from across the nations of the world. I do not take it for granted. I know that you could have been doing something else with your time, but you are here with me this morning. I'm going to be signing off of Facebook and YouTube, but I'm going to be continuing on the radio side of things. So if you have not yet downloaded the HGG radio app, please do so. Go ahead and download HGG radio, where you can stay with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where we are sending up the praises to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and we watch the blessings come down. But until next time, Facebook and YouTube, take care and God bless.